The old Victorian house stood on a hill overlooking the town, a silhouette against the perpetually bruised twilight sky. Locals called it Blackwood Manor, and whispered tales of strange occurrences, unexplainable noises, and a family that had vanished without a trace a century ago. I, naturally, dismissed it as folklore. I was a paranormal investigator, armed with logic, gadgets, and a healthy dose of skepticism. I was here to debunk the myth, not perpetuate it. I'd obtained permission to spend a week inside, thanks to a distant relative of the long-lost Blackwood family, a nervous man who practically begged me to prove his family history wasn't soaked in darkness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows across the overgrown lawn, I unlocked the heavy oak front door, the metal groaning in protest after years of neglect. The air inside was thick with the scent of dust, decay, and something else, something metallic and faintly sweet that I couldn't quite place. Moonlight filtered through the grime-coated windows, illuminating cobwebs that hung like macabre tapestries. My EMF meter flickered sporadically, a low hum filling the silent house. Nothing alarming yet. I spent the first few hours setting up my equipment. Infrared cameras in the main rooms, audio recorders strategically placed to capture any anomalous sounds, and a thermal imaging camera to detect cold spots. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the creaks and groans of the house settling around me. Around midnight, the first anomaly occurred. A distinct scratching sound came from the attic, directly above my head. It wasn't the scurrying of rodents, this was a deliberate, rhythmic scratching, like fingernails dragging across wood. I grabbed my flashlight and cautiously ascended the creaking staircase. The attic was a cavernous space filled with forgotten relics of the Blackwood family. Trunks overflowing with yellowed letters, moth-eaten clothing, and dusty portraits leaned against the walls. The air was even colder up here, and the scratching continued, louder now, closer. I swept the flashlight beam across the room, but saw nothing. Then, I noticed it. Etched into the dusty floorboards, a series of symbols, repeating themselves over and over. They looked vaguely familiar, like a forgotten language I'd seen in a book about ancient occult rituals. A shiver ran down my spine. Suddenly, the scratching intensified, moving from the floor to the walls. The temperature plummeted. I could see my breath fogging in the air. My EMF meter screamed, the needle hitting the red zone. I felt a presence, something malevolent and ancient, watching me. Panic clawed at my throat. I turned to flee, but the attic door slammed shut with a resounding boom. I rattled the handle, but it wouldn't budge. I was trapped. The scratching turned into a guttural growl, emanating from the shadows in the corner. Two crimson eyes materialized, burning with an unholy light. I stumbled backwards, my heart pounding in my chest. "Who are you?" I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. The growl intensified. The eyes moved closer, the shadow from which they emerged taking on a vaguely humanoid form. It was tall and gaunt, with impossibly long limbs and a face that was all sharp angles and jagged teeth. "You should not have come here," a raspy voice echoed in my head, not through my ears. "This house belongs to us." I frantically searched my pockets for my crucifix, a standard piece of equipment, but I couldn't find it. My hands trembled as I fumbled for my phone. No signal. The creature lunged, its razor-sharp claws extended. I ducked, narrowly avoiding the attack, and scrambled towards a trunk, tripping over a discarded doll with empty, black eyes. As I fell, the trunk toppled over, spilling its contents onto the floor. Among the yellowed letters and tattered clothes, I saw it. A small, silver locket, intricately engraved with the same symbols I had seen on the floorboards. On a whim, I grabbed it, my fingers closing around its cold metal. As soon as I touched it, the creature recoiled, hissing in pain. The crimson eyes flickered, dimmed, and then disappeared. The temperature began to rise, and the oppressive weight in the room lifted. The guttural growl faded into silence. I clutched the locket tightly, breathing heavily. The attic door swung open, revealing the moonlit staircase. Without looking back, I stumbled down the stairs and out of the house. I spent the rest of the night in my car, parked a safe distance away from Blackwood Manor. The sun rose, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold, but the house still loomed ominously on the hill, its secrets safely guarded. I never went back inside. I packed up my equipment and left town, leaving the mystery of Blackwood Manor unsolved. I sent the relative a brief report stating that there was no evidence of paranormal activity, a lie that tasted like ash in my mouth. But I kept the locket. I carry it with me always, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks in the shadows, and the things that are best left undisturbed. Sometimes, late at night, I can still hear the scratching, and I see those crimson eyes burning in the darkness. And I know, with a chilling certainty, that Blackwood Manor is waiting. Waiting for me to return. And one day, I fear, I might.